Hi, welcome to the Deposition. I'm attorney Andrew Thomas, joined again by senior attorney Nathan Lewis.
Good to be here.
All right, well, let's jump right into our topics. So, I see a lot of advertisements and things out there for legal services to help prepare people's immigration documents.
Correct.
Looking into these a little bit and actually knowing some people who got scammed here.
Yeah.
These are not law firms, generally speaking, and it's very risky to use these services because we know the USCIS can sometimes take a fine-tooth comb and look
Right.
over your applications. What are some of the things they're looking for?
I mean, these are almost never legal attorneys. I would say when preparing an application to USCIS, they're looking for entries in the United States, how many times you cross the border, where you cross the border, how you cross the border. They're looking for criminal history. They're looking for consistency throughout your application. So if you have an interview, you don't want your application to contradict itself and say two different things. That's going to be a giant red flag and probably lead to a notice of intent to deny, which could lead to them referring your case to immigration court.
Yeah, and that's not a good thing. And you could be delaying your case because we see a lot of what they call requests for evidence because people are not submitting complete applications to start with. There's a lot of evidence that needs to be attached to prove your relationship to your qualifying relative, and everything that you're saying in there has to be backed up.
Correct. And when you receive these requests for evidence, you only have a very short period of time to respond. And if you're coming to us trying to fix your application because you went to one of these services, it's almost easier just to start from scratch a lot of times because you don't have enough time to gather all the information that was missing or supply all the information. So you pretty much wasted all your time and effort on this non-attorney who is pretending like they are some sort of legal expert or something.
So in immigration, we talk a lot of times about what people should be doing to put themselves in a better position to succeed. What we don't always talk about is what people should not be doing because
Right.
we see a lot of people in our offices make common mistakes. And it's not just people coming to our offices. You see it on social media. You see it out there when you're just talking to people. What are some of these things that you see are just common mistakes that just people are going through?
It's more of a trend. I would say do not make the mistake of trusting that one attorney that has a magic wand. Like that is like if you talk to many attorneys and they've all said here are your issues, but yet that one attorney says I can file this for you, it'll get you status. Usually TVs and VAWA claims. That's usually honestly what this all is. They are not being honest with you.
Yeah. I think if you go to anybody who is suggesting to you a narrative of your life that's not accurate,
Yes.
huge red flag.
Huge red flag.
If it is not your story and it is not something that you went through or that's in your background, do not file that with the federal
Right.
government. You are putting yourself in an extremely bad position, not only just for a denial, but we're seeing these now referred to immigration court for deportation.
Right. Yeah. Along with that, do not conveniently leave off facts in your applications. Do not file something if you cross the border multiple times legally. Do not try to hide criminal issues. The government does its own research. They don't just take your word or my word or the client's word for the truth. Like they're going to look into things and see if it's actually true or not.
I think the best advice here is that honesty is the best policy. And
Yes.
that's in life and in immigration because
Correct.
if you don't qualify for something, don't file something. Just
Right.
wait. You never know what might change in immigration. Or if you file something and you're honest and it gets denied, okay, you can try again down the road for
Right.
something else. At least you
Yeah.
were honest. If the government finds out that you've been dishonest or misrepresented or omitted key
Right.
facts, you could be barred forever
Yeah.
from immigration.
And now you have a fraud bar to worry about instead of just maybe an unlawful presence or a criminal bar. You have various other blocks to your immigration process.
So Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, whatever flavor social media is out there, there's always these new ones coming up. You have to expect that whatever you are posting on social media is going to be part of the investigation done by immigration officials once you go into the system. And that's whether you're entering a petition or you're in court or anything like that. What you're putting out there, they're going to judge you on.
100%. I think what people need to realize is you're asking the United States government to allow you to remain in the country with status. If you're posting things on social media that indicate a threat to the United States, or you're not going to be a good citizen, they don't want you here, so they're going to use that against you. So you need to be very conscious about what you post or what you have at least floating out there in the past on social media before applying for any sort of government benefit.
Because a lot of these applications will ask you a lot of questions,
Right.
trying to determine what your past political affiliations
Right.
may have been, what your opinions on certain matters are. And you're
Right.
checking boxes a lot of these
Yep.
times, and they're going out there looking for things that are going to contradict what your
Mhm.
application is going to say. And there's been more than a few people that I've seen their social media posts contradict those things, and they
Right.
get kind of hung up there.
I mean, if you check a box saying you've never committed a crime, and yet there's pictures of you committing crimes on your social media, that's kind of a problem. They're going to find that and they're going to use it against you.
Bona fide marriages. Let's talk a little bit about that. So when we have a petitioner, so someone with status in the U.S. that wants to sponsor their spouse, who's the immigrant,
Right.
beneficiary, and they're in a legal marriage. What USCIS immigration is looking for is that this is a bona fide marriage
Right.
and not a marriage for immigration benefits only. So, what are they talking about here?
Just that, like you don't happen to find a U.S. citizen to marry just to get like a green card and eventual citizenship. You cannot marry for that purpose. That's flat out. There's no way around that. If USCIS finds out you did marry for immigration, they're going to deny your application. If they somehow don't discover this during your process, they could come back later and strip you of residency. They can come back later and strip you of citizenship, even if your, I guess, fraud lasted that long.
I think it's important to note here is that there's really no hard and fast requirements as to what a bona fide marriage entails. Like, you don't technically have to live in the same place. You don't technically have to have joint accounts. You don't have to have those things. They look at a totality of the
Right.
circumstances to determine, is this a real marriage? Now,
Right.
if you're living separately from your spouse, you
Yeah.
better probably have a good explanation for that. Some people work out of town sometimes and
Right.
temporary absences. That makes sense. But you're going to have to explain those things. And it's not out of the realm of possibility for a home visit when they have some really suspicious activity on a case.
Correct. My home visit doesn't mean they even visit your home. They'll ask your neighbors, people around you, hey, have you seen this person ever at this house? And if they answer no, then that's a big problem.
So when you're going through an immigration process, obviously immigration officials are looking through your application to see that you have everything there that needs to be there. But a lot of times they're scheduling interviews. It could
Right.
be for an I-130 even, or an adjustment of status interview, or even consular processing, something like that, scheduling an interview. Your appearance is going to matter. And they are going to judge not only your application, but you as a person. Is this somebody they want immigrating to the United States?
So an approval, let's say an adjustment status or anything really, is completely discretionary with the USCIS hearing officer. If he doesn't like the color of your shirt, he or she could deny your application. It might not say that in the final
Right.
decision, but they have that power, and it's very hard to overcome that in the future. So basically, you want to look presentable. You don't wear pajamas. Don't wear like shorts and a tank top.
Yeah,
look
right.
look presentable.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I would say rule of thumb, don't ever wear pajamas outside your house, please. But if we're talking about interviews at
Right.
immigration, you want to, dress to impress. Like,
Right.
dress in a professional manner. They're going to be professional on this side. You're going to be there. Show that you want this.
Mhm.
Like, think of it as a job interview. I mean, you're
Right.
interviewing to stay in the United States and possibly get permanent status here. So put on something nice.
Right.
My grandma would have said, put on your Sunday best.
Yeah, put on church clothes.
Absolutely.
Right.
I want to touch on this recent thing that has been going on in immigration, and that's obviously we've seen a lot of detentions over the past year.
Right.
And, initially when these happened, a lot of immigration lawyers are going through the traditional means of trying to file for a bond. That quickly became very difficult to get done. We know the Trump administration is not playing ball a whole lot with the immigration bonds. But then this has become more of a federal court issue, and we're talking about what's called a habeas petition. And I know you practice in this, and I
Right.
know our law firm practices in this. We just had one granted yesterday
Right.
for somebody, and now they're getting out of immigration detention based on this habeas petition. These are important things to know.
Right. So there are many different court systems in the United States. Most of the, if you're in immigration court, that's one court system. The immigration court system is basically denying all bonds. There's very narrow circumstances of how we can get a bond, but basically 99% of bonds are being denied. What our office has been doing is filing what's called a habeas petition with the federal district court of wherever you're being held by is at. This is a way that this is a federal lawsuit that basically forces the government and ICE to release you from ICE detention.
I think it's important to note, to touch on your point, that there's different court systems. Some of these different court systems require lawyers to be licensed
Right.
in those particular, well, they all do, but you have to have a special license for
Right.
certain courts. Our law firm, absolutely, we
Mhm.
have the ability to file these habeas petitions in both the Northern District and the Southern District of
Right.
Texas. We've done that, and
Mhm.
we've been successful in these things.
Mhm.
So that is a great avenue for somebody that just doesn't have the ability to get out on a bond, which we know is extremely narrow.
For the most part, that's your only avenue of getting out of ICE detention, unless you just say let them deport you without fighting. But so the habeas is really the only way to get out of ICE detention right now.
Well said. Everybody talks about AI, and this is something that I think is going to be a useful tool for in a lot of things
Yeah.
going forward. And it's getting better all the time. But I want to raise a little bit of a caution here because I've heard from multiple people who tried to use AI to help fill out immigration applications where they got a denial, they got an RFE, things were cited incorrectly. I mean, AI is still a little bit of the Wild West here, I think.
It's not perfect. This is a human endeavor, immigration. Your case is being reviewed by a human. It needs to be prepared by a human. You're a human. There are many things that AI just does not understand and does not grasp about the law, what you need to prove to another human. There's so many factors that go to a real person, have them look over it.
And I read a story recently about somebody who had an application through AI, and they had a narrative attached to it. And the narrative were citing facts that were
Right.
just completely non-existent.
Mhm.
Thankfully the person caught it, but they were like, where did this come from? And we've seen some lawyers submit briefs to court where they were just citing ghost cases that never even existed. I don't
Yeah.
know what is going on, but you got to be very careful.
I think some lawyers have been sanctioned by ethical sanctions based on doing stuff like that. So
Unbelievable.
there's no substitute for an actual real qualified human being reviewing your process and filling it out.
True or false, Attorney Lewis? Somebody marries a U.S. citizen, they automatically get a green card.
False. A green card is never automatic, and depending on various facts of your life, immigration history, you could qualify or not.
True or false? Someone has a U.S. citizen child that's turned 21. They are now always eligible to get their parents a green card.
False for their always, but a U.S. citizen child over 21 can sponsor a parent.
Why is it false for the always?
It depends on type of entry, how many entries. There's so many various factors, so many immigration issues that lead to different bars to immigration that a child can overcome.
True or false? If somebody gets denied on an immigration application, can they try to file it again?
True. Like it depends on what your denial was for. Depending on you could have filled out your paperwork wrong, and if you fill it out correctly, they'll get a green card.
True or false? Can an attorney guarantee results on a case?
Always, always false. An attorney cannot guarantee anything besides they'll work hard for you. I am not the person that's ultimately going to be checking yes or no on your case. So I can never guarantee your result. And in fact, it is unethical for me to do so.
So if an attorney is making that guarantee to you, is it safe to say you should run away?
Run away. that attorney is not honest, and there's a good chance he's not going to deal with you honestly either. So
I'll take this one off a billboard I've seen. True or false? You have a child over 21. You have multiple entries in and out of the United States. Are you eligible for a green card?
99.9% false. You're not eligible.
Last, let's just touch on the current climate of immigration. I think that ICE has made an effort recently to sort of reel it back a little bit, tone down the image, because things were getting very, very heated on
Right.
both sides. Not good for anybody.
Right.
But there's two sides of this. There's also USCIS where people can continue to file petitions.
So, yes, I'm not seeing nearly as many immigration ICE horror stories.
Thankfully.
I mean, people are still being detained.
Sure.
But that does not mean if you have a legitimate immigration process that you qualify for, you should not file your process. That's never been the case where you should just not file. It's better to have. It's always better to have a legitimate process ongoing than just being here illegally.
And I think this is a great point for you. And I think there's some misconceptions there is that people are being granted work permits and green cards every day. We get them into, in fact, I think we have one sitting out here right now waiting for one. I know Frankie's given a couple away today. So
Right.
people are getting granted these things every day still. And they've cautiously gone through the
Right.
process. They qualify for it. They have the good work done for them. They get those approvals and they're getting the documents that they ultimately want. That's not changed at all.
No, I
And
mean,
people should continue to go forward with these cases, legitimate cases.
what people don't understand is the laws governing USCIS work and immigration benefits has not changed at all.
Mm-mm.
It's still the same as it was under Trump, under Biden, under Obama, under going back till 1997. Immigration court has gotten tougher, but that's only because they're enforcing procedures that have always been in place. They just were never enforced.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today on the deposition. Thanks, Attorney Lewis.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We'll see you next time. God bless, guys.